Hello and welcome to articles from the Blackpool Gazette for Talking Envision. These articles have been taken from the Blackpool Gazette dated Friday the 20th, Saturday the 21st and Monday the 23rd of February. These articles have been read by members of the Poulton Le Fylde Rotary and are namely Tony, Victoria and Tony. Here's Victoria with the first article.
Hotel plan may still deliver at post office site. Proposals to transform part of Blackpool's former Abingdon Street post office into a hotel are still being considered. It was confirmed today. Owners Blackpool Council, who bought the Grade 2 listed building in September after previous hotel plans fell through. It could be turned into a 90-bedroom hotel which looks onto Edward Street to the rear of the building after subdividing the site. Previously ambitious £26 million plans were being considered to develop the site as a high-end 148-room Indigo hotel, but that scheme was scrapped due to cost projections. Now the council says alternative options are being actively explored to repurpose the long vacant building in a way that both respects the heritage of the site and boosts the town centre economy. Investment has been made through the Phase 1 viability stage, including detailed site condition information that will be vital in shaping future plans. The authority is also taking into account ways to step up security after youths managed to get onto the roof on a number of occasions and also to carry out repairs after it became clear the building was deteriorating. A Blackpool Council spokesperson said, Blackpool Council acquired the former post office building in September 2025. Since completing the purchase, the council has delivered a programme of initial improvement works. The council is now advancing plans for the site's long-term redevelopment. Proposals include subdividing the property to accommodate a 90-bedroom hotel fronting Edward Street. The opportunity will be brought to the investment market in 2026, inviting partners to play a role in the regeneration of this important asset. The big story of the weekend. Excitement bubbles up for weekend of circus shows. Blackpool is enchanting residents and visitors alike with the February Festival of Circus and Magic, a 4-day extravaganza packed with live performances that continue this weekend. There have already been top performers appearing, including Sam Hogarth, whose performance on Adelaide Street West, where he levitated a member of the audience. And the town centre continues to be transformed with roaming street entertainers from hilarious pedalo swans to astonishing magic acts. Free workshops and performances will also take place at key venues including the Blackpool Tower, Arc Cinema, Hounshill Shopping Centre, Abingdon Street Market and Arc Cinema. The excitement continues today when Britain's Got Talent winner and local star Harry Moulding takes to the stage for a special headline magic show at Blackpool Pleasure Beach Resort. Visitors can also try their hand at puppetry, circus skills and other creative activities throughout the festival. Over 4 fun-filled days, the February Festival promises street magic and circus performances across the town, hands-on workshops for all ages, spectacular shows at key venues across Blackpool, a mix of roaming acts, interactive experiences and headline performances. Tomorrow, Paris Bubbles, a spectacular bubble show, will be on at the 5th floor of Blackpool Tower. Ray Bubbles, international bubbleologist, is on a mission to master the art of bubble making and create the ultimate square bubble. For a complete schedule of events, visit www.visitblackpool.com/FebFest. The festival is funded by Blackpool's Tourism Business Improvement District TBID, which supports tourism projects and events that enhance visitor experiences. Crime. Arrest after drugs bust in centre of resort. A 19-year-old male has been arrested after being found in possession of a large quantity of suspected drugs in Blackpool. Acting on community intelligence, the town centre neighbourhood team descended on Palatine Road after a number of reports of drug-related activity. A 19-year-old male was searched and had been found in possession of a large quantity of suspected drugs. He was arrested on suspicion of possession with intent to supply of Class A, as well as being concerned in the supply of drugs. Animals. Zoo welcomes an adorable new addition to herd. An adorable new addition has landed at Blackpool Zoo. Asher, a 1.5-year-old male Sitatinga, joined the fold recently from Marwell Wildlife as part of the EAZA Ex Situ programme. Pictures show a happy Asher, a species of antelope from Central Africa, arriving at the zoo. He will soon be settling into the brand new antelope stable at the bottom of the zoo's expanded giraffe habitat, where he will live alongside the rest of the antelopes and the giraffes Olympia and O'Grady. Crime. Police look to trace man in taxi robbery inquiry. A taxi driver was held at knife point, police say. Police were contacted on Wednesday after the victim reported he had picked up a fare in Birchfield, Claytonley Woods at about 10:15 a.m. The passenger then threatened the driver with a knife, taking his mobile phone and stealing £250 from his account using a banking app. He fled the taxi in Barton. Police went to speak to Leroy Teasdale, 25, who has links to Blackpool and Bamber Bridge. If you know where Teasdale could be, don't approach him, but call the police on 999. Retail. National fashion chain set to open Fylde Coast store. A popular British fashion name is set to join Lytham's bustling market square, with White Stuff opening a new store in the resort. While an exact opening date has yet to be confirmed, the new store is set to take prime position next to Fat Face. The shop sits across from Sea Salt, Cornwall, in one of the most popular shopping streets in the seaside town. White Stuff was founded in 1985 by pals George Trevors and Sean Thomas, who started out selling t-shirts to fund their passion for skiing. The first White Stuff store opened in Clapham, London in 1991. By October 2024, the chain had more than 150 stores and concessions across the UK. Crime. Police charge man after appeal for public help. Police say they have charged a man after they issued an appeal for help to trace him. Darryl Watts, 35, who has links to Blackpool and Preston, was wanted in connection with an investigation into fraud by false representation and on recall to prison. Yesterday, police said Watts had been charged with 3 counts of fraud by false representation.
Sean will not take his hospice charity challenge lying down. This is an article about a charity fundraising initiative by a chap called Sean Linden. Sean Linden is leading a new group of superheroes on a mission to raise an incredible £100,000 for Blackpool's Trinity Hospice in a massive 6-day challenge this summer. Trinity Push Force will see a specially made bed in the style of a hospice bed being pushed more than 100 miles across Lancashire, passing 6 other hospices in the region before a massive final day trek on the Saturday, starting at Trinity Hospice and heading to St Anne's Pier. The team will then walk along the seafront to Cleveland's before returning back to the hospice. Sean, the director of Blackpool Industrial Roofing, has been a staunch supporter of the charity, growing growing his annual golf day event from 16 teams to 60 to 70 teams each year. He also climbed Kilimanjaro and completed the Tour de Mont Blanc. Through his efforts, Sean's fundraising is worth £300,000 to date, but he's never hit £100,000 in one event, and he's certain that the Trinity Push Force will do it. Speaking as he unveiled his bed at Trinity Hospice, Sean said, "I realised that the way to reach the target is to get the whole community involved. And that's when I came up with the Trinity Push Force. I wanted a new challenge, something different that's not been done before, and I wanted to raise as much as I can. That's my goal." Sean has personal reasons for wanting to help the hospice. "My father-in-law was at the Trinity when he passed," Sean said. "He was close family and he was good to me. He's my inspiration for setting up the golf day." Trinity Push Force sets off from Pendleside Hospice in Burnley on July the 6th, and over the next 6 days they'll walk across Lancashire to finish the challenge on July the 11th at Trinity. To get involved with the sponsorship, call Sean on 01253 88 5958 to make a donation. This next article is entitled Star Interview. The 4 seasons in one day for Peter in a new 60s show. Singer, songwriter and actor Peter Andre is currently starring in the UK-wide tour of the very best of Frankie Valli and the 4 Seasons. The show arrives in the Winter Gardens in Blackpool on February the 26th, and ahead of his Lancashire trip, the 52-year-old star sat down for a chat with our celebrity reporter. The questions will come first and then the answers from Peter Andre afterwards. First question: how are you feeling about coming to Blackpool with the very best of Frankie Valli and the 4 Seasons? Peter responds, "Great. The show has been amazing, and so people understand this show has been going on for years. The singers and the performers are West End performers. They're very, very, very good, and I joined this last year for a couple of months, and it was only meant to be a one-off, and then they said, 'Would you come back and do it again?' And I said, 'Well, if it comes back by popular demand, then I'll do it.' So they rang me and said, 'It's back by popular demand. Will you do it?' And well, yeah, let's do it one more time." So, it might be the last time for a while that I do this show, but honestly, it's so much fun. And it's just, the musicians, the singers, the performers, the show, the songs, it's just fantastic. It's a must-see. Question: why is it a show that you wanted to get involved with at all? Well, when they first approached me, I was a little bit unsure because I didn't think I knew enough Frankie Valli songs. I remember them though. "No, you do," and I went, "What do you mean?" And they said, "Do you trust me?" And so literally they sent me the set list, and it was like, I had no idea that Frankie Valli sang that song, and that one, and that one. As a kid growing up on the Gold Coast, one of the things that on the beaches they used to have speakers and they used to play a lot of the radio, and a lot of the times I thought all my life those songs were Beach Boys songs, and some of them were, and now I've realised that a lot of those songs in my childhood were actually Frankie Valli songs. And so I was like, oh my God, this is going to be like me able to be on stage singing songs that are embedded into my childhood. So that's the reason, really, and plus it's a high energy show. Question: can you describe the show for audiences who have no idea what it's going to be like? So, the Jersey Boys in the West End in London. That's a lot of acting and singing, but there's no acting in this, it's just narrated. So we do explain the story all the way throughout the show, and how the guys formed their rivalry with the Beach Boys, and how he was signed to Motown. So we get to do a cheeky little Motown section as well, but it's just hit after hit after hit. And I'm telling you, anyone that comes to it and walks out going, okay, I didn't expect it to be like that, and it's really nice. The other things we get a lot is I never knew Pete could sing those kind of high notes. And that's because a lot of the times in the songs that I've released, it's been quite poppy, but actually my strength lies in falsetto. And that's where I sing a lot in this show. So it's really good fun. Question. So for younger audiences, who perhaps don't you think they will know any Frankie Valli songs? Are you saying they'll still be very much enjoy the show? They will. A lot of times in the audience we have different ages. We have anyone from 5 to 95, and that's really interesting because the younger ones, I'm like, how do they know these songs? But it's probably because their parents played them, or the other versions of these songs. For example, Grease. That's in the film Grease that was written by the Bee Gees, but it was sung by Frankie Valli. But I didn't even know that for a long time. And Begging has been redone. It was redone in 2010, again in 2015, and there's another version of it with a rap. And a lot of people know that version, but it's all Frankie Valli. And that's where this young generation go, oh my God, I love it. Question. Do you get to wear some fabulous costumes? Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. The costumes are, listen, it's the one time I get to wear a lot of glittery coats, and I love jackets. I must do 1, 2, let me just think about this, 12 costume changes throughout the show. 12! It's like living a dream. It's brilliant. Honestly, guys, come and see it. You won't be disappointed. Question. Well, a place that absolutely loves all the glitz and glam is Blackpool. Have you performed in Blackpool before? I have. I've done my own shows, but last, not least of all, Strictly Come Dancing. I did Blackpool, the Tower, which was amazing. But yeah, Blackpool is great. Of course it is. I mean, it's part of our childhood as well. Before I moved to Australia, my parents used to take us there. Question. So when you come up this time, will you get up to any of those activities that you remember like as a child? Yeah, the cane things, the sweets. What's it called? Yeah, the rock. Something rock, yeah, love that. Still love it to this day. Bit too much though. I need to watch it, but yeah, you kind of have a vision of when you think of Blackpool. You think of entertainment and roller coasters, and as you think it all as a child, it's obviously the food. It's a great town, a really great town. Question, can you remember what Blackpool audiences are like? Yes, they're always up for a good laugh, and they're always up for a good night out, and I think that's what is amazing. A lot of times with these shows, you're not allowed to stand, so you're not allowed to film some of these shows. But as you go further north from London, the more north you go, the more you find people break the standing up rule pretty much every night. But they're pretty tame until song 4 or 5, and then it starts to get a little bit louder, and it's great.
And this is the second Tony, reading from Monday the 23rd of February. And special guests join an event to call for world peace. A Fylde Coast church is welcoming some special guests for a day of prayer next month. Fylde MP Andrew Snowden and the mayors of Fylde and Wyre will be at Our Lady of the Star in St Anne's for the annual World Day of Prayer, this year highlighting the women of Nigeria. The event takes place at Our Lady Star of the Sea Parish Centre, St Albans Road, St Anne's. Refreshments include Nigerian specialities will be provided. A spokesman said, "Everyone is welcome, irrespective of age, nationality and religion, to join in sending good thoughts, positivity and prayers for peace." And there's a picture, the commentary is interesting. This week, the Pantry Food Bank Fleetwood on North Albert Street welcomed 3 distinguished guests for a special visit of its facilities. The Mayor of Wyre, Councillor Steve Nichols, the Lord Lieutenant of Lancashire, Amanda Parker JP, and the Bishop of Blackburn, the Right Reverend Philip North. Also met volunteers and heard a first-hand account of the increasing demand for the food bank services. Councillor Nichols praised the volunteers' commitment and emphasised the importance of community-led initiatives. And the police have charged a man after an alert from a doorbell camera. Lancashire police have charged a man with attempted burglary after an incident last Saturday. Officers were called to Calfcroft Place in Lytham in the early hours of Saturday after a resident saw a male on their Ring doorbell acting suspiciously. Officers detained a man on Forest Drive who was searched and found to have items suspected to be used to commit a burglary. Zach Jackson, aged 30, of no fixed abode, has since been charged with attempted burglary and going equipped for burglary, and has been remanded in custody. And chip, chip, hooray! Let's hear it for a favourite dish. From crinkle-cut and thin French fries to thrice cooked and with skins on, with or without tomato sauce, chips are a favourite in households across the country. Whether you like yours in a butty or with haddock or cod, National Chip Week, which runs until Thursday, is a great excuse to enjoy fried or oven-cooked potatoes. National Chip Week started in the 1990s, and it's one of the Potato Council's biggest annual awareness campaigns, and aims to promote the benefits and dispel the myths of eating chips as part of a balanced diet. Chip facts. More than 250 million fish and chip meals are sold annually in the United Kingdom, using 1.5 million tonnes of potatoes. The nation consumes enough chips to circle the moon and back 3 times, if laid end to end. And the first recipe for chips appeared in 1817. The go-to potato for the perfect British chip is the Maris Piper. Vinegar is more popular, 41%, than salt, 37%. 46% of people choose both. Tomato ketchup is the favourite for 34% of people in England and 25% in Scotland. In Wales, 35% prefer curry sauce. Heston Blumenthal's restaurant serves one of the priciest portions of fish and chips in the UK, costing £61.50. While a beloved comfort food, chips are generally not considered a healthy food due to being high in calories, saturated fat and salt. But if eaten 2 or 3 times a month, they can be enjoyed as part of a balanced diet. Oven-baked or air fryer chips are a healthier option than deep-fried. And around the world, every dog has its day, and this is it. February the 23rd is International Dog Biscuit Appreciation Day. Today, dog biscuits are often used in training. There are special types of biscuits which clean dogs' teeth, so giving a dog a treat can help to keep them healthy. In 1860, American entrepreneur James Spratt marketed Spratt's Patent Meat Febrine Dog Cake in London, creating the first widely sold commercial dog biscuit made from wheat, vegetables and meat. In 2013, a study showed that a daily dental chew can reduce plaque for dogs. And why fly tipping costs almost £360,000 more than the clean-up itself. Fly tipping in Blackpool costs the public purse almost £300,000 a year, more than the money that has to be spent on cleaning it up. That's because those who illegally dump rubbish in the streets or on wasteland also evade the landfill tax that would have had to be paid if the waste had been disposed of properly. According to an assessment of government statistics by waste management experts, Business Waste Company UK, fly tipping in the northwest during 2023-24 would have generated an estimated £7 million in landfill tax, 350,000 of which would have emanated from the Blackpool area. Mark Hall from the firm said, "While landfill tax has risen year on year from 2012 to 2024 to encourage the diversion of waste to more suitable routes, this also means the cost of fly tipping has risen significantly." When we discuss fly tipping, We often note the cost for the clean-up and the environmental toll created by illegal dumping. While both of these are important considerations, we rarely look to evaluate how much tax money the Treasury has lost due to fly tipping activity.
Holiday let bid refused over housing shortage. Plans to change the use of a two-storey terraced house in Blackpool's South Shore into serviced holiday accommodation have been refused. The owner applied to Blackpool Council for change of use consent to allow them to rent out their second home on Bolton Street for holiday use. The property has a lounge, dining area and kitchen at ground floor, a double bedroom, single bedroom and shower room at first floor, and a loft conversion providing an additional bedroom. But the planning officer decided that the urgent housing needs of Blackpool outweighed the benefit of new holiday accommodation in a mixed-use area of town, and setting a precedent for such applications would further exacerbate the issues. In planning documents to support the bid, the owner stated, "We have bought it as our second home to be used by ourselves and family, as well as it being an investment property. We have been advised that the house has been let as an Airbnb in the past." But a delegated report and recommendation from the planning officer stated, "The proposed change of use would result in the loss of an existing residential dwelling at a time when the council cannot demonstrate a 5-year supply of deliverable housing land, and it is in a position of severe housing need. Given the highly urban nature of the borough, the identification of sufficient housing land is extremely challenging, making windfall provision an essential contributor of supply. The ad hoc loss of existing dwellings exacerbates the situation and should only be supported where the detrimental impact on housing land supply is outweighed by other benefits. The application site is not in a safeguarded holiday accommodation area, and the use of the property as holiday accommodation would not substantively assist in delivering any of the aims and objectives of the development plan, including those relating to resort growth and regeneration." New chapter for cafe after revamp. A new cafe is set to open in St Anne's as Cafe One undergoes a major refurbishment and rebrand, with Kick Cafe St Anne's preparing to welcome customers. Kick Cafe St Anne's will be based at the YMCA building on St Albans Road, sharing the premises with the popular Harry's Play Centre. The launch comes as Cafe One temporarily closed for around 6 to 7 weeks to undergo a full refurbishment and rebrand ahead of reopening this February. The team say they have been busy behind the scenes, carrying out upgrades to create a more cosy and inviting space for customers. Popular bakery reopens. After a short closure for refurbishment, the bakery Bennett's of Ansdell is throwing open its doors once again. The popular spot on Woodlands Road had shut its doors temporarily as part of the programme of upgrades, and its return has been met with heartfelt messages of support and enthusiasm from regulars online. Known locally for its freshly made pies, sandwiches, cakes and hearty breakfast options, all served in a friendly atmosphere that many customers describe as inviting and value for money, Bennett's has built a strong reputation in recent years. A spokesperson said, "We're back open, gang. Thank you all so much for your patience with our renovations. Exciting changes ahead."
Okay, so this next story is from the Foul Coast community, and it's called "Friendship and Fun are Hallmarks of Town's Festival." St Anne's Square is set to come alive next month with a vibrant, free celebration of community well-being and seaside fun. Fylde Council and Discover Fylde are excited to welcome residents and visitors from across the county back for Fylde Fest, spring into life on Saturday, March the 28th. Running from 12 p.m. to 4 p.m, the festival offers something for everybody. Dance enthusiasts can join Zumba Susie for energetic, fit classes, while football fans can enjoy kickabouts with Lytham Juniors. Skateboarding tasters from Live Like Ralph and live baking demonstrations from Burr Patisserie add more fun for the whole family. The Smoothie Bike Challenge returns, giving visitors a chance to blend healthy smoothies with the Fylde Sports and Communities team. Younger guests can explore gardening with St Anne's in Bloom, play creatively with Lego, or enjoy engaging Warhammer sessions with Red Wizard Gaming. Meanwhile, the Fylde Ranger Service will showcase ways to stay active in local parks, walks and community initiatives. Fylde Fest also highlights the support and friendship networks in the area. Representatives from Streetwise and Just Good Friends will be on hand to share information about inclusive activities and services, ensuring everyone feels welcome and connected. Councillor Karen Buckley, leader of Fylde Council, said, "Fylde Fest is all about bringing people together to celebrate health, well-being and the strong connections that make our community special." The next story is the big story of the last 7 days. Measles vaccination plea to parents across Lancashire. Parents across Lancashire are being reminded to ensure that their children's measles vaccinations are up to date after an outbreak of the potentially fatal disease in London. 60 children have been infected and 15 of them hospitalised in the borough of Enfield in the capital. While Lancashire has a higher take-up rate of the 2-dose measles, mumps and rubella jab than the England average and far higher than Enfield, it still remains below the 90% coverage level recommended by the WHO, the World Health Organization. According to the latest data from the UK Health Security Agency, 88.6% of 5-year-olds in the Lancashire County Council area has had both doses during 24-25, compared to the 83.7% across England. The figures for Blackpool and Blackburn with Darwin areas are 87.4% and 83.7% respectively. The Director of Public Health at Lancashire County Council said, "Measles is one of the most highly infectious diseases and spreads rapidly among those who are unvaccinated. It's particularly severe for any child and unfortunately can lead to serious complications, especially in young infants and those with weakened immune systems. In rare cases, it can tragically result in death. Measles is preventable with 2 doses of the MMR vaccine, yet many thousands of children across the country remain unvaccinated and at risk. The MMR vaccine offers the best possible protection against measles. Please act now to ensure that your children are fully protected. You can check your child's immunisation red book or speak with your GP surgery." Blackpool Council's Director of Public Health, Dr. Arif Rajpura, added, "We have had no cases of measles in Blackpool in recent years, thanks to the high vaccine uptake and the efforts of our public health teams." The next article is on Fylde Coast Briefing and is headed, "Council Seeks New Operators for Coast Theatre." New operators are being sought to take over the lease of Thornton Little Theatre as owners Wyre Council look to begin a fresh chapter. The latest announcement has come from the council just a week after the authority and outgoing operators Create 8 Little Theatre both issued statements after a piano and theatre teacher was jailed for sending sexually explicit messages to a 14-year-old pupil. Chris Higgins, aged 46, of Sanderling Drive, Poulton, was sentenced to 10 months in prison after pleading guilty to engaging in sexual communication with a child. Create a Little Theatre said that the case had been deeply upsetting for the organisation and confirmed that Higgins was no longer involved with the theatre or any associated companies. Wire Council is now inviting organisations or individuals who may wish to take on the lease to come forward as Create 8 relinquishes its tenure. We recognise, they said in a statement, that significant public interest in the future of Thornton Little Theatre. The Council's priority is to ensure stability, transparency and a clear way forward for this much-loved local venue, and we are taking action to support its long-term future. Wire Council is the landlord of Thornton Little Theatre, a valued cultural asset for our borough. The day-to-day operation of the venue has been undertaken by the leaseholder, Create 8 Group Limited. Following a review of our legal and contractual responsibilities, the Council is in the process of taking back possession of the building. This is a clear and decisive step taken in the best interests of the community and the future of the venue. Llewellyn Bowen Prom attraction is being bulldozed. Demolition work started on one of Blackpool's seafront attractions this week. The Theatre d'Amour, located close to South Pier, was unveiled in 2011 by its designer Lawrence Llewellyn Bowen. With animated ballerinas, waterfall, a rotating moon, swans, water fountains and lighting effects, the Victorian-style tableau was created as part of Blackpool's famous illuminations. Its designer envisaged that the attraction would encourage visitors to get out of their cars and experience it on foot. However, in recent years, the Theatre d'Amour appears to have fallen out of use and has been shuttered up. Recently, a notice of demolition appeared on the structure, and that work began on Wednesday. Meanwhile, in December, there was a reapplication for a very different attraction on the same spot, the Upside Down House. The Upside Down House is a 2-storey structure designed to appear upside down on its roof with a slight angle, creating novel scenarios with selfie opportunities inside, such as a bed appearing to be on the ceiling. The attraction is already proving popular in different locations across the country, with a new one opening in Bristol last year. The applicants are hoping to set the attraction up close to South Pier on a site currently occupied by the closed-up Theatre d'Amour. As part of the latest application to Blackpool Council, a heritage statement said it's considered that the planning application for the new visitor attraction in the form of the Upside Down, along with ticket office, will result in minimal impact on the character, setting or significance of the locally listed structure, South Pier this is. Applicants added that the Upside Down will become a popular visitor attraction for Blackpool. Okay, here's a series of small, short stories. One from the police. Courses aim to keep bikers safe on spring tides. As spring approaches, police and Wire are urging bikers to sign up for a course to keep them safe on the roads. As the weather warms up, it becomes easier to go on a long bike ride, and police and Wire are offering a series of bike-safe workshops, passing on tips and knowledge to give an insight to safer, smoother riding and a heightened awareness of possible hazards. There are courses held at Garstank fire stations on Green Lane West, available in April, June and September, but places tend to go quickly. Second, head south for celebration of Pop Institution. The South are back on the road to perform songs of a great British pop institution. The 9-piece band feature former members of the beautiful South, including singer Alison Wheeler and lifelong sax player Gaz Birtles. They have a gig booked at the Lowther Pavilion in Lytham on Sunday, March the 29th. Since Dave Hemingway, the original singer, left the group at the end of 2016, Gaz has moved across to front the band with Alison and taken on vocal duties. Treasured songs include A Little Time and Perfect 10.
And new plans for the former Yates Bar. Planners have given the go-ahead to proposals to build a completely new version of the former Yates Bar on Blackpool's South Shore promenade. The original plans to extensively revamp the locally listed Art Deco pub drastically changed after the whole building had to be demolished last year. The proposed multi-million-pound regeneration was expected to see much of the original building retained, despite it falling into disrepair. Emphasis was made on keeping the distinctive Art Deco facade at the front. But the condition of the property was much worse than originally believed. Chronic deterioration of the concrete and steel structure of the building meant that the original infrastructure could not be made safe. Now a new chapter is set to begin, with planners granting permission for the new build, whose design and dimensions are essentially those of the intended revamp, based closely on the original. The latest proposals lodged with Blackpool Council were for the erection of a 3-storey building on the promenade, comprising a hotel and drinking establishment with extended food provision and function space. Among the various organisations consulted, Blackpool Civic Trust stated they did not support the design of the intended replacement, believing it to be merely a pastiche. The Trust stated, "It's a shame that the original building has been demolished and consider it best asking for a completely new design. It was the design and its architect which gave it significance, so now it is gone, it should be replaced with a high-quality but not pastiche design." A revised planning statement on behalf of the application from architect firm Abbott Hill Associates states, "The replacement building is to be of the same scale and footprint, together with a change of use to a hotel and drinking establishment with extended food provision, and the application can now press ahead." NHS waiting lists in the North West are at a 3-year low. But what's the story in Lancashire? The North West as a whole has seen an impressive drop in its waiting list over the past year, but we're taking a look at whether that's reflected in Lancashire. Statistics revealed at the end of last week show that elective activity has helped cut the national waiting list to its lowest level since February 2023. In the North West, this meant that thousands of patients across the North West received planned treatment in 2025, as the NHS delivered more elective activity than any other year in its history. The spokesperson for NHS England in the North West states that this milestone has been achieved despite demand across emergency services showing no signs of letting up, and the fact that the NHS is on track for its busiest winter ever. Despite these pressures and 5 days of industrial action by resident doctors, NHS staff nationally maintained almost 95% of usual activity during the strikes. In the North West, between December 2024 and December 2025, the elective waiting list came down by over 36,000 people. This is a 3.5% fall thanks to the elective reform plan and the efforts of NHS staff to hold more appointments, clinics and theatre activity throughout the year. The plan has led to an expansion of community diagnostic centres and surgical hubs across the country, including the North West, creating more evening and weekend clinics, as well as sending patients straight to test rather than multiple clinic visits. Dr. Michael Gregory, Regional Medical Director for NHS England in the North West, said, "Achieving this milestone in elective care is such a great achievement and has only been possible through the hard work of our NHS staff across the region. While we're really pleased to see improvements in the performance of our urgent and emergency care this winter, we recognise there's still more work to reduce long waits and improve patient experience. We thank our colleagues for working so hard and recognise how difficult it is for patients. Ensuring we're able to improve waiting lists for planned care while making sure services continue safely and effectively is really important for us. The release from NHS England in the North West only specifically highlights improvements at one NHS trust in Lancashire. It points out how East Lancashire Trust saw an 18.5% fall. We have therefore looked at the latest government data on referral to treatment to get a better picture of the situation in Lancashire. Schoolgirl Ria has met an island's president after an inspiring charity donation. A Blackpool schoolgirl whose donation of hair sparked a children's book and international attention has now met the President of Malta in person. Ria Booth Isherwood, aged 9, travelled to Malta with her mum, Harley Booth Isherwood, where she was invited to meet Madam President at St Anton Palace, a moment described by her family as truly special, following her inspirational act of kindness. Harley said, "What a trip. We landed in the middle of a cyclone, but it didn't stop us having an amazing time. One day exploring Valletta, the next we were at St Anton Palace meeting Madam President, who signed Ria's book and gave her a photo, a moment we'll treasure forever." The trip came after Ria donated 20 inches of her hair to the Little Princess Trust, which helps provide wigs for children experiencing hair loss due to illness. Harley said she first became aware of the charity through social media. Speaking before the trip, Harley said, "I showed Ria a video about the Little Princess Trust, and she said, 'I want to do that.' I explained that once you cut your hair, you can't just get it back, but she was determined to help." While on holiday in Malta, Ria's aunt, a hairdresser, offered to cut her hair. And a family friend, who is also a teacher and author, witnessed the donation and turned Ria's story into a children's book. The book has now been distributed to schools across Malta, raising awareness and funds for the Malta Community Chest Fund Foundation. Despite arriving in Malta amid a dramatic cyclone, the family said nothing dampened the experience. From exploring the streets of Valletta to the presidential visit itself, the trip was packed with unforgettable moments. Harley said she was proud beyond of Ria, adding that what began as a simple wish to help others has now touched lives across 2 countries. Members of Parliament must work closer together for more funding. Lancashire needs shout with more collective voice about its potential in order to ensure it gets the government and private sector backing needed to realise it. That's the message from one of the county's MPs, who is chairing a forum which brings together all of her parliamentary colleagues to promote Lancashire in those in and with power. Ribble Valley's Labour MP, Maya Ellis, is heading a Lancashire all-party parliamentary group, which has been reformed after a 4-year hiatus. The aim is for the 16 county representatives to work as one in order to help attract investment, boost growth and improve infrastructure. Ms Ellis said, "Lancashire has plenty of strengths which it can trade on, but could benefit from harnessing an overarching vision of the county's capabilities." She said that while Lancashire is already recognised by the government as one of many places that plays a role in the nation's economy, there is a missing link. She said, "All the things Lancashire does well are core bits of this government's plans, but I don't think we've linked up well enough yet the fact that Lancashire can do that stuff." Individual assets are definitely on the government's radar. I think it's about trying to make people aware of Lancashire and doing that more collectively. She acknowledges some of those who need to hear the collective message are ministers in her own party's government. She's keen to see an elected mayor playing a part in the push for Lancashire as soon as possible. Right, we hope you've enjoyed listening to the news brought to you this week by the Rotary Club of Poulton-le-Fylde.